Howdy, y'all. Welcome to episode 10 of Card Blitz. I'm Kelly Reed, and this is my good buddy I've known for about a quarter of a century, my co-host, Patrick Marshall. Patrick,
How's it
what's
going,
up, man?
guys? How you doing?
Good, good, man. It's been a crazy week already, I bet.
It's a full moon, and this guy has something to say about it.
What is Grogu? Grogu, what are you doing, dude? You're pulling out all the stops with episode 10, aren't you?
He's I think he's praying to the podcast gods. We'll have a good one.
Thank you, Grogu. And it's a blood moon night tonight here in
It
Dallas.
is a crazy blood moon. I mean, yeah, that's a strange story as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a good episode 10, man. We're ready to go.
We are rocking like
Yeah,
Dawson. Well, we got to wish a happy birthday to somebody, don't we?
that's right. We
Have
sure
our
do.
standby.
And his this would be, you know, speaking of blood moons and someone that gets you excited about things, and this guy was exciting, Mr. Clutch, Will the Thrill Clark.
Oh yeah, Will the Thrill.
Can you see that? I see a reflection on there, but
Yeah, no, we're good. It looks like it's a Don Russ card.
this is an 86, the rookies set that came out before his official rookie card.
Oh,
And I happened to look through, so I go, yeah, I've got that card. I'm like, I didn't even know he was on the set. I think of Canseco. I think of Bonds. Will Clark was he was a stud. I mean, back in the day,
oh,
I
definitely.
remember, I remember watching him when the College World Series. I used to love that back in the mid '80s. And between him and Palmeiro were both on Mississippi State Bulldogs, and that '85 season or '83 or '84 season,
I think it's 83.
they were called like Thunder and Lightning, and they kind of had this internal rivalry that made their team even better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty cool. But he won the Golden Spikes Award back in the day, which was the best collegiate baseball player in the country.
Well,
And
he did win a silver medal though in the 84 Olympics, from what I remember.
no, he did, yeah. And he led that U.S. team batting like 429 with like 3 home runs and 8 ribbies in 5 games. I mean, he was slated to be a good player in Major League Baseball. And
So when you think back on him, do you think of him more as a New York or as a San Francisco Giant?
yeah, in my world of when I was
I think
collecting at the time and my age, I thought he was a giant. And even though he played on the Rangers and I think Baltimore and then retired, I think as a
Cardinal.
Cardinal, I don't think of him as that. I think of him as a giant all the time because I actually grew up in Houston, and as you can see, and they would play the Astros very tough, and I did not like Will Clark. I
That's
respected the daylights out of him at an older age, but when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I was like, no way, dude, I don't like that guy.
well for me, Will Clark. I loved him as a Ranger, man. Like I mean, Will the Thrill, like you said.
Yeah,
Then, as you had mentioned, him and Rafael Palmeiro. I mean, they are linked through their careers, and he replaced Palmeiro when he came to the Rangers in '94.
yeah. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware that he was taking this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He spent 4 seasons with the Rangers, '94 to '98.
Yeah, I mean, here's some interesting stats about him. I mean, which I was impressed, and I wish he would have played longer because we're not quite sure about these guys, but I think he kind of went out on his terms. But I mean, his career average was 303, and
Hmm.
he had something like 2,184 hits or something like that, or
Yeah, yeah.
2,180 some.
Over 2,100 hits. I remember
Yeah,
that.
and for he played 14 years, and he was injured a lot, but he still hit 284 home runs, knocked in like 1,200 RBIs, and was an NLCS in '89 when the Giants played really well. And I mean, but the thing I remember most about him is every time he was up to bat and you didn't want him to get a hit, the dude got a hit. He was Mr. Clutch.
That's
And
why it's the thrill, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, if they had they probably do have a stat for him, but in clutch situations with 2 outs or less, man on second base, they got all sorts of stats now. He probably hit like 350. I mean, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I remember when Palmeiro left and the Rangers were looking for a lefty, and I mean we were excited to have him. in there with that lineup with Pudge and Wangan and Rusty
Yeah.
Greer. And, it was an exciting time. But for the Rangers, Will Clark got some postseason exposure, but he wasn't as clutch as he was, or the thrill as he was with the San Francisco
Yeah,
Giants.
was that 90? Was that 98 when they made their run to the World Series and they played
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Tiger? They made a run into the playoffs. They played the Tigers.
Well, in '96, they squared off with the Yankees, and they
Yeah.
won the first two games of that best of five series, and lost the next three, man. And
Oh, that was
the
okay.
team went up, and yeah, that was when they took on the Braves and Andrew Jones. And again,
Okay.
and they were down 2-0 to the Braves, and they came back and won that series.
See, I was living in Houston and North Carolina at the time. I didn't move to Tech to Dallas and became a Rangers fan really until like 98, 99. So it must
Yeah,
have been right after that. So,
definitely. All
but
right.
I mean, he was impressive. And this is the craziest stat that I didn't even know this. But did you know that in his first game, he had a home run off of Nolan Ryan as a Major League Baseball player? I'm like, okay, a guy who does that, dude, we should probably be paying attention to this guy. I mean,
Well, that and I think he his first at bat at home in San Francisco.
oh,
He
hit a
had a
home
home
run.
run.
Yeah, hit a home run. So
There
yeah,
were high
that's
expectations, man.
I mean, and he only hit like, he probably averaged like 20 long balls a year, but he was always just, I mean, his contact rate was amazing for baseball. And I think I also read something earlier this week that he almost had as many walks as he did strikeouts his complete career. That's impressive. I mean, that doesn't happen anymore.
No, no, not
So
in today's metrics and in MLB baseball. I was going to ask you, do you have any Will Clark autographs? Because you're,
no,
autograph hound from back in the day.
yeah, I did not because just because he was a giant, I think I didn't really chase giants.
I don't
So
have any either. That's what I'm asking. And he was a Ranger, so
and as actually that's that'll probably segue into something we're talking about later. But like I did, some roto leagues in like college and after college, and I just, I was just never interested in Will Clark because he always had clutch hits against my team or in situations where I didn't get a hit. So
all
it's
right,
kind of
man.
cool. Yeah.
Well, I went to a card show this past weekend in Dallas, or nearby in Frisco,
Okay.
NTX card show, and I met some really cool folks, some nice dealers, some fellow card collectors, and this one dealer, his name's Ray, and he's out of Hyco, Texas.
Wow.
Hyco's down south near Glen Rose, just south of like Granbury and Fort Worth, but
Okay. Okay.
and Hyco's kind of known as the home for Billy the Kid. So
I see. Gotcha. Is Billy Kid buried there?
I don't think so. I think
I
that
don't think he
maybe
is.
that's
No,
where you
no.
get to
That's a
start.
trivia question.
Yeah, I
He's
think
not
you got to
buried there.
start in Heiko.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
he's not buried there.
time down there. But Ray hooked me up with this really cool card from my youth. He had one. He's like, "Here, man, take this home with you." And it's a Kenny Stabler card from
Nice.
1977
Yeah,
Topps football.
the snake, dude.
Snake, man. And that was the year that they went to the Super Bowl. They defeated the
Okay.
Vikings that year. And so
What year? So what was that year? 77? What'd you say? Seven.
76 was the season
Okay.
commemorated in 77
Okay. Gotcha.
because the Cowboys won it in 77.
Yeah, that's right. Gotcha. That's cool.
But yeah, it commemorates them beating up on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the enemy of your enemy is your ally. And so Kenny Stabler, the Snake, and the Raiders, that's always been like my favorite AFC team.
Now, do you remember?
Even if they're horrible in Las Vegas.
Do you remember what year they that he did the throw where he got tackled and they could say his knee was down, but we don't know if it was down, and he threw the touchdown pass in the end zone. I mean, when was?
Are you talking about the Immaculate Reception with Franco Harris, or are you talking about
No, no, like
the one with Dave Casper and it kept going
yeah.
forward and then they outlawed it or made it illegal? I think that was in the 77 season.
Okay, all right.
I think it was 77 season.
I always remember Ken the Snake. He was always moving around, and then that play was kind of crazy. So
Well, the fact that and he's left-handed, and so
yeah.
he's going opposite of defenses and throwing them off track and stuff. So definitely the snake.
Oh, it threw him off a lot. I think, yeah, for sure. So
And I picked up this cool card. It's a 1954 Topps card
nice.
of Lucius Easter.
Interesting.
Have you ever heard of him?
No, but that sounds like a card that should have been pulled out in April sometime around Easter.
It, well, this is
But
a
maybe he'll come back around, Kelly.
yeah. We'll have to bring him out again, but yeah, old Luke Easter here from the Cleveland Indians. I learned about him from Mark Ford over at Stream of Card Consciousness.
Okay.
He's one of his favorite players, and Luke here, he was in the Negro leagues with and played for like the Grays, and then he got picked up by the Indians, I think in '49.
Okay.
Remember correctly, but his story is a sad one at the end because he only played 6 games in '54. So this is his last playing day card. So that's why I snatched it up. I was like, dude, it's a Luke Easter card.
Wow, that's pretty
Uh,
cool.
he was murdered in 1979, just like doing a payroll, taking some like payroll checks or some cashed out some payroll checks and gunned
Really?
down in 1979. So yeah, apparently he was one of the greats of pre-integration into MLB and tragic end to his life.
Was he in the outfield? Was he in?
Uh, it says first base,
Okay, first base. Okay.
but
I was
apparently
wondering if he played out there.
he's like 6'4", weighed like 240 or
Okay.
230 back
I was
then.
wondering if he was
A
out
big
there
man.
with like Vic Wertz back in like, 54 when or the Say Hey kid made the catch on Vic Wertz in the outfield and immortalized himself as a defensive plaer, something
Yeah,
like that.
have to do some more research, man.
Yeah.
So how
That's
about you,
pretty
man?
cool.
Did you get any cards lately or
I'm
anything to
not.
show off?
I was thinking about our viewers, and wasn't sure if we talked about this card last time, but I got a card back in my collection, and I'm not sure if we talked about this,
Yeah,
but I don't know if I showed this last time, but we were talking about getting cards back and talking
yeah.
about things we got, and this was huge for me. So
So it made back-to-back appearances on the CardBlitz show. This
I
is
think it has. I think it has. But I haven't gotten anything new besides these. But that's why I'm looking forward to
did
spending
it
some
make you
time.
happy to just show that card off? Be like, look,
You
guys,
know,
I've
spending
got
some
the
time with my
sweet
buddy
card.
Kelly. In May at the card show in Dallas. So I think we'll have it'll be a fun fall. We'll put it that way. The end of the summer and fall because there'll be a lot of cards coming in.
That'll work, man. That'll work. Lastly, I picked up some Shohei cards because that's like my current only modern player I collect. Some
Dude, the 72 like heritage. Let me see that one. That looks sweet.
Yeah, that's
Nice,
a good one,
man.
man. Definitely. So yeah, I mean,
I
but
love
these
those.
were on the cheap, man. I was like, you can't go wrong with picking up Shohei cards. Like he's the only modern player, current player that I even collect.
Now, let me ask you this: speaking of like the Topps Heritage cards that came out for like these new players, do you think old collectors like us, like, do you think it's transparent for everyone? Like, I think those cards are great. When I see the
Talking
design,
about
I'm
like
like,
layout and design.
and it's a new player that you like, and your kid likes him. Daddy, I love this guy, and then you show him an old card that you're familiar with, like a 75 tops that has his your kid's favorite player on it. It's a cool moment, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good bond, and the fact that now that you're over the age of 30, you have this thing called perspective, right? And so you can reflect back on your youth and go, "Oh yeah, I
I'm
remember
still
that
Kelly.
design."
I'm still a kid.
Well, that's what the nostalgia part, right? Yeah, you and Grogu there.
He keeps me grounded.
Definitely, definitely. What was I gonna mention? So, you wanted to kind of get back into this like whole card show Pokemon
Yeah,
extravaganza. So,
yeah. I was
like
kind
I
of
said, and I
segueing.
saw it again at this card show, man. Like half the tables were like Pokemon cards again.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
I want to ask our. I mean, I want viewers and you guys, make your put your comments in. But I mean, late like card shows you've been to recently. I mean, I went to one in Charlotte a couple weeks ago, and I walk around the corner, and there's a bunch of activity. I'm like, oh wow, what's going on over here? It's a Pokemon table,
right.
and they're doing some like they're spinning a wheel. There's people dressed up, and there's music playing. I'm like, whoa. And I was having this feeling like I'd walk down another table and you'd see some old vintage cards and the older dealers I know that I've met, and walk around the next corner and there's this young influx of like 13-year-olds hanging out with these guys, maybe like 30, which are like the elders of the Pokemon nation now, I guess. But then you see like like a 40-year-old guy, and he's out there with Pokemon. And I mean, Pokemon was hot. There was a lot more movement as far as trading and discussions at some of the Pokemon tables than I saw at guys who just had like a dollar grab box, or two for a buck.
Mhm.
Of I mean, I think I probably could have bought a Kirby Puckett rookie for like $3 2 weeks ago, and that blows me away. But I mean, so I thought to myself, this would be a good thing to talk about, on CardBlitz. I'm like, does the influx of Pokemon and that collectability and that trading and that going out there and grabbing cards, is it positive for baseball and football and basketball, or is it something that should be separated? I mean, it's interesting to me.
I feel like from my exposure in the hobby, even going back to like turn of this century, like in
Yeah,
2001, Pokemon was a thing, remember? And so like but I always felt like there's like this divide. It's like, hey, you got your role playing and game playing people, Pokemon people, and what was it, Pikachu, and
yeah.
then you got your sports card collectors and sports fans and memorabilia folks. So I don't know if these paths, other than if you're a card shop or a card dealer, I don't know how often there's like any kind of like
What I was thinking. Here's a different angle.
cross pollination between the two groups.
Right. Yeah.
It's an awkward situation.
Here's a different angle. Let's think baseball cards. Everyone, collectibles. Let's think comic books. Is there a segue with Pokemon between the comic book collector and maybe having a card instead of a book, as far as a connection to getting everybody interested in the hobby again, of some way or form? I mean, I think maybe there's probably going to be, let's just say that, let's say 25% of all the Pokemon collectors go, I used to play sports, I like sports. Maybe I'll get back into cards. I mean, is it bad? I don't think it can be bad for the
You-
business.
of course not.
Yeah,
Anytime you got cash flow incoming, that's a good thing
yeah,
for a business, right? But you know,
but
you had
yeah.
mentioned like kids and youth and cards and my own family, my kids, um, my youngest, you go to McDonald's and they have Pokemon cards in the Happy Meals.
Well said. I was just about to bring that up.
But I don't see MLB cards
No,
or NFL cards in a Happy Meal.
exactly, Kelly. Are they missing out on something there? I mean, I think it does. So, are they trying to mirror the two industry? I wouldn't call Pokemon industry, but mirroring the two collectibles like this. Maybe football and baseball could be introduced in a special McDonald's card, which I think on the next show I will pull some of those out from the mid early '80s of McDonald's scratch off cards that we used to get at players when I grew up in Houston. I think that'd be a good thing to talk about. But maybe that'll come back.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. It'd be cool. I mean, again, I think that's where like the Pokemon folks are right. Their eye is on a bigger prize of, hey, let's start kids in young and early and learning about this hobby and this game. They
yeah,
start, they got like the lenticular pretty cards. Kids are like understanding the points and playing the game against each other. But also, it's on your phone.
yes. Oh, dude,
And so
you know how many
it's
adults
in the
play
21st century now.
You know how many adults play Pokemon? Like I'll go to my local pizza and wing place, and there's guys that I know.
And they're
I had
like,
no idea. And I go, "What are you doing?" They're playing Pokemon on their phone.
Pokemon
I
Go,
go,
man.
I go, dude, you're like 40 years. I go, what are you doing? He's like, oh, there's a meet and greet at a local park here, and it's all virtual, and you find different things. So the digital age is translating to real world. And I'm like, okay,
And we saw this
it,
kind of try to happen with collectibles from, even though I wasn't a part of that scene in like 2018, 19, 2020, apparently like this whole digital trading card idea came up and
oh, okay,
that's very different than like what maybe like our aunts and uncles and grandparents and parents collected and you're collecting on this and trading and I don't know if it's as fluid as the tangible. But maybe
yeah,
for youth, it is. Because they're immersed in that world. I'm kind of more of the old school kind of collector.
yeah. Well, who's going to drive this industry for the next 50 years,
The youth,
40 years? Exactly.
not us dinosaurs,
No,
Patrick.
we're going to be sitting back, and my kids will be, Dad, did you know if we go to the game this weekend, there's a chance that 100 people who are there can take their digital imprint of their ticket and they go to a certain spot. And if it's located around the stadium, we all win a digital virtual card of so and so. I mean, it could be huge. Imagine if the stadiums were all dialed into that. I mean, you could have
The
you could
folks at
have
the net
days.
are going to check us out and be like, "Hey guys, these are some great ideas."
I mean, somebody's going to take that and go, well, if someone can take this deal, they want to contact us, go right ahead.
CardBlitz, reach out to the show, Facebook, comments at blitzweekly.com,
That's right.
at blitzweekly.com.
But I mean, I think there's all sorts of opportunities for that. So maybe, you think you walk into a show, you see things going on. Maybe there's behind the scenes at the larger shows like the Dallas Card Show that's in the National in Cincinnati, Chicago. Maybe there's some test markets being run by people that we don't even know. They just look like normal guys walking around. We have no idea. They work for Tops. They're outside consultants for card companies. I mean, it's I'm sure it's happening. And
Yeah,
especially with AI being involved, I mean, come on. I mean, it's going to be
next level.
pretty intense. It's next level. That's exactly the way to say it. It's next level.
Well, speaking of next level, we're on level 10. We're on episode 10.
I
Let's talk
know.
about some tens.
Pretty sweet, dude.
And my first 10 that I ever purchased is the first card that got me back into this hobby, and that's this SGC Shohei Ohtani 10.
Nice. What does it say on the top? I can't quite read it.
Crusade.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So don't know how much of the glare is getting out there, but yeah, this is the first card that I bought when I talked to you and said, hey man, you're telling me about the card industry and how it's kind of rejuvenated your interest in it and sparked your desire to kind of get back into collecting. And you're telling me about graded cards, and so that was the first card, a graded card I ever bought, and so that's a keeper for me because
That's cool. That's
I
cool.
have that nostalgia with it.
Yeah.
Um, the in the series that I'd mentioned this before that kind of got me back into like captured my heart with Shohei Ohtani is the World Baseball Classic.
Oh yes. Dude, I was just
And
talking to a buddy of
it,
mine about that.
yeah, so like this is like
So
that
amazing.
final strike, yeah, on
Do,
Trout.
do you know how many fans there are of the World Baseball Classic that don't necessarily watch baseball traditionally? I've been doing some research, talking to my local bars, and I'm like, there's guys out there that love that, but they cannot tell you played in the World Series last year or in the playoffs.
Well,
I
yeah,
thought that,
if based on it's a cultural thing, just like
yeah,
World Cup soccer. And so you identify with your nationality, your ethnicity, and your country, and you're like, hey, this is who I'm rooting for.
I think it's great. I think that's the best thing that has happened in baseball for a long time. To be honest, just my opinion.
Well, there's another
Pretty
one
cool.
coming up in I think 2 more years, so
Yep.
be excited for that. The last one, so I showed you an SGC 10, a
Okay.
BGS 10.
BTS 10. Gotcha.
Here's my PSA 10, and it's
Done.
one
Done.
again, another Shohei.
Nice, man.
The thing that makes this card different is the writing on the bottom.
Oh yes. Yeah. Cool, man.
So yeah, man, like when I first got back into this hobby, Shohei was the guy that like made that huge impression on me, and I was like, this guy's like Babe Ruth. Where have I been for like the past 5 years? 2018, he's coming into this league. I heard about him, but I didn't really follow him, and I didn't really follow cards because I never had him on my fantasy team.
Well,
And so,
what it brought back from Kelly was a Hideo Nomo like pull. Oh, it came back.
dude, and that is my like 1995 PC.
Yeah.
Seeing Nomo over in Taiwan pitch, and when him and Frank Thomas were on that Nike tour, and yeah, oh, I collect like that's one of the things I want to do is get a full run of Hideo Nomo 1995 rookie cards. So hopefully the prices don't just go out the roof. But yeah, for me, he made quite an impression on me in '95. Almost 20 years later, a little bit later, you got Shohei,
Well,
same thing.
this would be very.
With
This
the
would be.
bat
Yeah.
and his pitching.
Well, this would be very interesting. Does Sasaki, like rookie Sasaki, does he take over the pitching part of what Shohei, has done? Because that guy's supposed to have the best splitter or
Shohei's
splitter
been
slider in
off the
baseball.
mound. He's going to come back. It's just a question of when. I think, maybe he's thinking May or June, maybe after the All-Star or
But do
in
you think he's a
July.
starter? Do you think he's a
No,
starter, Kelly?
I
I think he's a middle reliever. Like someone gets, he comes in, pitches the last 4 innings of a game, shuts everybody down, done. Pitches next week.
we're going to find out what Shohei wants to do because Shohei does what Shohei wants to do, right?
That's correct.
Like you got Bo knows, now we got
Yeah.
Shohei knows, right?
Shohei knows batting. Shohei knows pitching.
Shohei knows all pitching, batting, everything, man.
Now, if Sports Flicks was smart, they'd come back and make a card that showed him pitching and batting.
His ball's being released and him hitting a home run.
But you know what? It's only going to inserted in one out of every 5,000 packs. So you need to find one that's marked between 1 and 20, and
Right.
that's it.
Dude, and I saw in 2023 when Ohtani came to Texas to Dallas to take on the Rangers with the Angels. He pitched and he hit a home run in that same game in the seventh inning
It's amazing.
and just kind of locked it up for me. And I was like, "This is the man."
Yeah. You opened my eyes to him a lot, and of course I knew of his accolades, but I'm like, you watch the guy play
Yeah,
on Sunday Night Baseball or something. You're like, wow, this guy's not even he's not even really equal with like 80% of the guys on the field.
generational, man. Like
There's one guy named Mike
Babe Ruth
Trout
of
that
our
he used to
era,
play
man.
with.
You get one per century. We're blessed to see him this century.
Yeah, you see him play with a guy when he was on the Angels. His name's Mike Trout. Yeah, he's somewhat close to him, but Mike Trout can't pitch. So, woo, pretty amazing.
Now, for a later episode, we can definitely get into some Mike Trout talk. But getting into this episode 10 concept,
Yes,
um, some of the bigger, maybe future goals of the show. We kind of talked about maybe trying to get some guests on the show, collaborating with some other shows and their hosts,
that sounds great.
getting more of a presence at some of the card shows there in Charlotte or here in the Metroplex, or who knows, but where this show goes. But let's keep growing it. Let's keep working it. Leave comments, on our YouTube channel, obviously, and reach out to us on info@blitzweekly.com. Reach out to us, man. We're here.
Yeah, I agree. I like to see it. We have a CardBlitz table in 2 years at the National somewhere in Cleveland or in Chicago. That'd be cool.
You gotta have some connections, man.
Yeah,
Maybe we could be 3 blocks away and see what happens.
yeah, hey, that's fine.
You want some high dollars?
Your parking pass is sponsored by CardBlitz. Like, hey, we made it.
Yeah,
We're,
finally. We
we're
were
close.
fine.
We're
We're
not in
here.
the building. We're not in the building, but we're close to the building.
We'll come out with those tuxes like in that movie Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, there you go.
Some chains and top hats like you
Yeah,
two.
that's funny, dude. That's good.
Well, hey man, I mean, time is flying. We're already up against it. Let's talk a little like fantasy baseball and its impact on in card collecting.
Yeah, I would agree with this because we talked about this early in the week, and I'm like, that's a good topic because I find myself I'm gravitated to picking people in fantasy baseball, and I didn't even know it subconsciously that I liked that played actual baseball, even if they were close between another guy who may have been better. I did it reverse. I would like pick the player to be on my fantasy team that I liked in real baseball, as opposed to having a guy on my team that I'm like, can I get behind this guy?
Hmm.
Do I need to go out and buy an SGC 9.5 of Jose Ramirez? I don't know. I don't know.
Does that impact you? Translating from fantasy sports to card collecting?
Yeah.
Does that impact you much, you think?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm probably the only guy that had Kelly Gruber on his fantasy baseball squad back in the mid 80s and loved the guy. And it just happened to collect a bunch of them when he was an up and coming prospect out of Austin, Texas. I was like, this guy's the next guy. He played on the Blue Jays, which was my favorite team. 3 years, he fizzled out.
That kind of happens to prospects. I bet you and I we were in a fantasy football team together back in the early aughts
Yes.
in our
Yep.
youth. And UT alum, graduate Longhorn, Ricky Williams. We
Yep.
had him on our fantasy football team. He was with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, I was like always looking for Ricky Williams cards in Texas gear. But when I'd rip open wax, I was not upset that I got a Ricky Williams Dolphins card. Like
Yeah.
consciously, like you said, you're like, dude, this guy is rocking it for me in fantasy football, and I like his card. I'm not complaining. I don't know if, nowadays would I go out and buy a PSA 10 or an SGC 10 of, a current player because they're on my fantasy team.
Right. Let's go back to like Priest Holmes and Dallas Clark years. Back in fantasy. I mean, everyone at fantasy was hot back then. It's still hot right now. But did people go out there and seek a Dallas Clark rookie card? He was a halfback slash tight end. I'm like, I don't know. Did you go chase him? Probably not.
But I do think that, if you're playing fantasy, let's say fantasy football,
Yeah.
you watch the players play on Sunday, they're on your fantasy team, they have a great week. You're looking to see if their cards are going to like trend up that week in the marketplace. Or if they have a horrible week, do their cards tank? You know,
Yeah. Or
uh,
they get traded mid-season to a bad team, or they're a head case or something like that. I agree with you. You're like, ooh,
so
do I
fantasy
sell?
sports
Do I sell? Get out?
do certainly make an impression on us. I'd say that I think some of it's nostalgia, some of it's real world. Like you're playing this game in a sense, but it's real time, and you're like, did I give him my lineup? Is he injured? Is he going to score a touchdown? Is he going to hit a home run? Is he going to pitch a shutout? So those, what for the fans out there, if y'all agree that fantasy sports impacts your card purchasing decisions, let us know. If you don't agree, you disagree, let us know. Just
The coolest thing about it is how good does it feel when there's a guy on your team he does well, and you're like, oh yeah, that's my boy. You're jumping up and down for D'Angelo Williams for the Panthers, who just ran an 82-yard touchdown in overtime. You're like, that's my guy. He's a rookie from Memphis now. He's second year. I'm like, my cards are going up. Everyone's had
yeah,
that little moment.
and that's a whole different topic, prospecting, and hopefully we can get some guests on there and talk to us about that art because you think fantasy football and baseball and basketball and hockey impacting sports collecting. Man, wait until like the whole prospecting game. That'll probably blow our minds completely. We'll be like, what?
Oh yeah. Like never thought about the strength of the NIL and what it will become and what it's starting to become already. I mean, there's major money behind it. I mean,
Oh,
it wouldn't surprise you if Topps comes out with the NIL set. I don't even know if that's even. I mean, that's crazy.
well, they
But
got the Bowman U, and that's got a lot of college kids in there
okay,
for sports that I don't know if they also do baseball, if they leave that for Bowman baseball, but yeah, you can get basketball and football, in those Bowman U packs. I've never bought one, but I've read about it.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm not convinced that. I don't know who anyone who plays fantasy basketball. I mean, I may be in the minority here, but I used to do it back in the day. It was fun. But Ben Wallace was playing at the time, and you get a guy like that on your
Shutting
team. He
down
leads.
people.
He leads all your rebounds. He's like, oh, I got the top rebound in the league for 2 years.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sure
good.
basketball is still huge.
It's huge. But do people play fantasy? It's a numbers game too. Like that's why I love it.
It's a growing, dude. It's a growing thing. This fan,
Yeah.
when they're talking about it on mainstream channels in commercial breaks during the games, fantasy's legit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
I would
freaking.
invite
We
I
have
would
a
invite everybody to play a fantasy league with their family. Invite your wife, invite your daughter, get women involved. You'll be surprised at how powerful it'll be.
maybe in the fall if things keep growing like they should and could, and we hope. Maybe we can get a CardBlitz fantasy football league going.
Oh,
That
that'd be great.
you can be the commissioner. We'll put you in charge. You're the smart one.
We'll be the commissioner, but I'm also responsible for picking out the trophy, and we can have a show
The
that's
bragging
going to have
rights.
12 different people on it at the same time. We'll do a massive Zoom call. It'll be televised. Great.
Uh, that's funny, man. Well, hey, let's do a little stump Patrick action
Okay. Do you
in
think you got a good
honor
one? All right.
in honor of Will Clark. Now, I'm not gonna do this every episode, but for you and Will the Thrill, and when I think of Will, I think of the junk wax era.
Yeah.
So you and Grogu, y'all ready?
Yeah, we are.
All right, here we go.
Hold on. He's got to say something. Yes.
He's praying to the fantasy gods again. All right, here we go. How many 1993 Will Clark uh, individual cards were made? Like base set, insert sets, regional sets, parallels, team checklists. I'm going to give you four options on your numbers.
Okay, good. Because I have a Scantron. I need to be able to fill in an A, B, C, or D.
Exactly. And you're going to tell me A, B, C, or D. So here we go.
Okay.
So how many different 1993 at the height of the junk wax era
Woo.
are cards by companies were made? Okay, I
Okay.
don't need the total print run, but I just need to know the individual ones.
Okay.
Tops, Stadium Club, Upper Deck, all Fleer, Don Russ, all those cards. Here we go.
I'm
Here are your four options.
okay.
Option A, 44 different types of Will Clark cards were made.
Okay.
Option B, 109 Will Clark different variations and insert cards were made. Option C, 175 different Will Clark cards were made. Last
Wow.
but not least, option D, 203 different Will Clark cards made. Oh, and this information is brought to us by our good friends at a trading card database.
This is interesting because my initial thought was 3 times less than option A. So that tells me that I have no idea where I'm going with this.
Well, you're going with 44, 109, 175, 203.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to use the reverse psychology way of thinking, saying that do you throw 2 high ones out there and a low one, then that's really what it is. So I'm going to go with option B. I'll go with 109.
So, do you and Grogu both agree on this answer? Is that y'all's final answer?
I think we do. Is that
Grogu,
Grogu?
Grogu's looking at that blood moon.
Maybe he'll use the Force.
So you said option B, 109?
He's laughing. Yeah, he may.
And like the rest of America, if you chose option B, you are correct.
Yay, Grogu!
109
High
different
five,
Will.
buddy.
They're Thrill Clark cards. You just went yard as a lefty, correct?
I used my reverse SAT thinking back in the day, going, this is confusing. I don't like to do this. I'm on question 84. Let's get a pattern here.
Now we know your thought process. All right, so that's a wrap. Thank you, CardBlitz fans. Follow us, like us, subscribe. Reach out to us at info@blitzweekly.com or on Facebook at CardBlitz.
Yeah, just let everybody know I'm 2-0, guys. Just let you know.
Okay. All right, have a good night, man.
Take care, guys.
See
See you
y'all
next week.